Welcome to the Declassified Files. I'm your host, Ben Carter. In the underbelly of Washington, D.C., nestled beneath layers of administrative offices and political powerhouses, lies a labyrinth of secrets, a subterranean world unseen by the public eye. A world where operatives exchange unmarked documents, where whispers of coded language echo off hollow corridors, where the veil between what we know and what we don't know is at its thinnest. This world, the world of Operation Chaos. Deep within the confines of this covert operation, a spider's web of surveillance was spun across the length and breadth of America. This was not a web designed to ensnare foreign threats, but to trap a different kind of prey altogether. The targets were not enemy spies or foreign dignitaries, but the very citizens the Central Intelligence Agency swore to protect. And so Operation Chaos began to weave its intricate, invasive net around the unsuspecting public. But why, one might ask, would the CIA turn its gaze inward, onto its own people? What was it afraid of? The answer lies in the tumultuous time in which Operation Chaos was born, the late 1960s. America was a nation on the edge, teetering precariously between social revolution and civil unrest. The civil rights movement, anti-Vietnam War protests, and the burgeoning counterculture all threatened to topple the established order. Those at the helm of power viewed these movements not as expressions of democratic liberty, but as potential catalysts for anarchy and perhaps foreign infiltration. Thus, the CIA, under the direction of President Lyndon B. Johnson, secretly launched Operation Chaos. The aim? To unmask any foreign influence fueling these domestic challenges. As part of the operation, CIA agents were embedded into these movements, their identities shrouded by the cloak of anonymity. Unbeknownst to the public, these operatives were reporting back to their handlers, feeding them information that would ultimately be used to infiltrate and disrupt these organizations from within. But as the operation progressed, it began to morph into something else entirely. The line between foreign surveillance and domestic spying was becoming increasingly blurred, as was the boundary between protecting national security and violating personal privacy. The spider's web of Operation Chaos was expanding, its silken threads reaching further and deeper into the lives of ordinary citizens. The extent of this clandestine operation, the sheer magnitude of the surveillance undertaken, is still not fully known. The full truth of Operation Chaos remains buried deep within that labyrinth of secrets, waiting to be unearthed. In the following segments, we will delve deeper into the mechanics of this operation, exploring the shadowy figures who orchestrated it and the innocent lives they ensnared in their complex web of intrigue. The echoes of Operation Chaos still reverberate through our society today, reminding us of a time when fear and paranoia led to one of the most extensive domestic surveillance programs in American history. The origins of Operation Chaos can be traced back to March of 1967, when the CIA director, Richard Helms, ordered the agency's counterintelligence staff to compile a report on the anti-war and radical movements erupting across America. The directive came on the heels of rising concerns within the Johnson administration that these movements were being manipulated by foreign communist powers. The political climate of the time was rife with Cold War anxieties and a deep-seated fear of communism. The idea that foreign powers might be stoking the fires of dissent within the United States added a new layer of paranoia to an already tense nation. This fear was the impetus behind the creation of Operation Chaos. Under the guidance of Counterintelligence Chief James "Jesus" Angleton, the CIA embarked on this secret mission with a singular focus: to unmask foreign influence within these burgeoning movements. Angleton, a man known for his obsession with rooting out Soviet spies, was the perfect person to helm this operation. Operation Chaos initially targeted the anti-Vietnam War movement, but it quickly expanded to include the Black Power movement, women's rights activists, and other radical groups. The operation was carried out with utmost secrecy, with even the other intelligence agencies kept in the dark about its activities. The CIA established a special operations group to oversee the operation. This group created a network of covert operatives who infiltrated these targeted movements. These agents were tasked with gathering information that would expose any foreign influence in these groups. By 1969, Operation Chaos had evolved into a massive domestic surveillance program, one that was operating outside the purview of the CIA's mandate. This was a significant departure from the agency's charter, which expressly forbids domestic operations. Yet, under the guise of national security, the program was allowed to continue unchecked. The motives behind the operation were complex. On one hand, there was a genuine concern about possible foreign influence. On the other, there was an underlying fear of social change and a desire to maintain the status quo. These motivations, coupled with the cloak of secrecy shrouding the operation, created a potent cocktail of paranoia and violation of civil liberties. The tendrils of Operation Chaos reached far and wide, affecting countless lives and leaving an indelible mark on the American psyche. The existence of Operation Chaos remained a closely guarded secret until the early 1970s. It was during this era, marked by the Watergate scandal and an increasing public distrust in government, that the first whispers of the operation began to surface. The catalyst for the revelation was Seymour Hersh, a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist for the New York Times, who uncovered and reported on the CIA's illegal domestic activities in December 1974. Hersh's exposé, based on extensive research and anonymous sources within the agency, blew the lid off Operation Chaos. His articles revealed the breadth and depth of the surveillance program, including the extent of the CIA's infiltration into various activist groups. The public response was swift and severe. The revelations sparked widespread outrage, with critics decrying the blatant violation of civil liberties. The government's initial response was one of denial. But as more details surfaced, it became clear that the operation had indeed overstepped its bounds. In response to public outcry, the U.S. Senate established the Church Committee in January 1975, named after its chairman, Senator Frank Church of Idaho. The committee was tasked with investigating the intelligence activities of the CIA, FBI, and other U.S. government entities. The Church Committee's findings, released in April 1976, confirmed Hersh's reporting. The committee disclosed that the CIA had conducted illegal surveillance of American citizens on American soil, violating its charter. Moreover, they condemned the program for its broad and unwarranted intrusion into private lives, calling it a sophisticated vigilante operation. Public reaction to the Church Committee's findings was a mix of shock, anger, and disillusionment. The revelations fed into an already growing mistrust of the government, particularly in light of the recent Watergate scandal. Many saw Operation Chaos as further proof that the government was willing to violate basic civil liberties in the name of national security. For its part, the CIA was forced into a position of damage control. Under the leadership of Director William Colby, the agency pledged to cease all domestic spying activities and to respect the civil liberties of American citizens. This commitment, however, did little to assuage public fears or to restore the tarnished reputation of the agency. The specter of Operation Chaos, with its invasive surveillance and disregard for personal privacy, remained a dark shadow over the CIA for years to come. At the epicenter of Operation Chaos was the CIA's Special Operations Group, an elite unit shrouded in secrecy. This group, under the direction of Richard Ober, a career intelligence officer, was responsible for gathering intelligence about anti-war and civil rights activists. Ober's mission was to infiltrate these groups and expose any suspected foreign influence. The Special Operations Group reported directly to CIA Director Richard Helms, bypassing the usual chain of command. Helms, a key figure in the initiation and implementation of Operation Chaos, was determined to acquire actionable intelligence. His objectives were clear: find evidence of foreign influence within protest movements and neutralize it. His methods, however, increasingly bypassed the legal bounds of the CIA's charter. Besides Helms and Ober, another key figure was James Angleton, the head of the CIA's counterintelligence staff. Angleton was known for his deep-seated paranoia about Soviet influence and his obsession with rooting out potential spies within the agency. His ethos of suspicion and mistrust pervaded Operation Chaos, leading to an extensive and arguably unwarranted level of surveillance. The CIA was not alone in its endeavors. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, under the leadership of the infamous J. Edgar Hoover, was also deeply involved in domestic surveillance. Hoover's COINTELPRO, counterintelligence program, launched in 1956, was parallel to Operation Chaos in many ways. Both programs targeted activist groups, violated civil liberties, and operated outside the realm of public scrutiny. These operations were not isolated incidents, but part of a broader ecosystem of covert intelligence activities. Other agencies like the National Security Agency, NSA, and the Department of Defense also had their own surveillance programs, often working in tandem with the CIA and FBI. This vast interagency network formed a shadowy undercurrent of secret operations, all geared towards the same goal: preserving the status quo at any cost. While the CIA pledged to cease all domestic spying activities after the Church Committee's revelations, the legacy of Operation Chaos lives on. The architecture of domestic surveillance built during this era still casts a long shadow, raising pertinent questions about privacy, civil liberties, and the unchecked power of intelligence agencies. Even today, the echoes of Operation Chaos linger, serving as a stark reminder of a time when the quest for national security led to the erosion of individual freedoms. The evidence of Operation Chaos and its extent was meticulously hidden, but the veil began to unravel through a series of leaks, investigations, and testimonies. In 1974, Seymour Hersh, an investigative journalist for the New York Times, published a groundbreaking article revealing the CIA's illegal spying on U.S. citizens. Hersh's report detailed a secret operation, codenamed Chaos, that had been spying on anti-war and civil rights activists for nearly 7 years. The revelation sparked immediate outrage and led to the formation of the Church Committee, a Senate group tasked with investigating intelligence abuses by the CIA and other agencies. The Church Committee's final report, released in 1976, provided the most comprehensive account of Operation Chaos. The report revealed a sprawling surveillance apparatus encompassing mail interception, wiretapping, break-ins, and the creation of extensive dossiers on thousands of American citizens. It also highlighted the operation's focus on anti-war and civil rights activists, confirming the worst fears of many targeted groups. Even today, the full extent of Operation Chaos remains elusive. The CIA destroyed most of the program's records in 1973, a year before Hersh's exposé. But some documents survived, providing tantalizing glimpses into the operation's clandestine workings. These surviving documents often raise more questions than they answer, with redactions, missing pages, and cryptic references hinting at the operation's larger scope. For instance, one document, a 1967 memo from Helms to Ober, references a list of key activists and priority targets. But the names on this list are redacted, leaving open the question of who these individuals were. Another document, a brief from 1970, mentions covert actions to disrupt activist groups but provides no details. These omissions fuel speculation and debate about the operation's true nature and objectives. Similarly, witness testimonies paint a partial picture. Former agents have spoken about the paranoid atmosphere within the CIA, the pressure to produce results, and the fear of foreign infiltration. But many details are left unsaid or contradicted by other accounts, adding to the aura of mystery surrounding Operation Chaos. Amidst the fragments of evidence and the fog of secrecy, one thing is clear. Operation Chaos was an unprecedented incursion into the lives of American citizens by their own government. The operation's extent and impact may never be fully known, but the pieces of evidence that do exist provide an unsettling glimpse into a time when paranoia and fear led to a massive breach of civil liberties. The Church Committee's report sparked a firestorm of media coverage and public outrage. Journalists, researchers, and the broader public grappled with the implications of the CIA's domestic spying, capturing the zeitgeist of a nation disillusioned by Watergate and the Vietnam War. In response to the revelations, the government engaged in a series of denials and obfuscations. Officials downplayed the scale of the operation, emphasizing its focus on foreign threats and dismissing claims of widespread surveillance of American citizens. The public narrative shifted, framing Operation Chaos as a necessary, albeit misguided, response to perceived threats during a turbulent period in American history. However, independent researchers and investigative journalists continued to probe into the operation's shadowy depths. Seymour Hersh's groundbreaking report in the New York Times played a crucial role in exposing the operation. His meticulous research and compelling narrative brought the issue to the forefront of national consciousness, sparking a public debate about the limits of government power and the sanctity of privacy rights. In popular culture, Operation Chaos became a symbol of government overreach and paranoia. It inspired numerous works of fiction, from films such as The Conversation and 3 Days of the Condor, to books like The Burglary, The Discovery of J. Edgar Hoover's Secret FBI. These cultural artifacts reflected society's growing concerns about surveillance and civil liberties, further shaping public understanding of the operation. Despite the media coverage, many aspects of Operation Chaos remained shrouded in secrecy. Government officials and former CIA agents maintained a veil of silence, while surviving documents were heavily redacted or missing critical information. The result was a patchwork of facts, speculation, and conjecture that only added to the operation's mystique. Over time, the official narrative of Operation Chaos evolved. Initially framed as a necessary response to foreign threats, it later became a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked government power. Today, it stands as a stark reminder of a time when fear and suspicion led to a significant breach of civil liberties. Yet despite the passage of time, the full truth about Operation Chaos remains as elusive as ever, a hidden chapter in the annals of American history. Not everyone, however, accepts the narrative that has been presented about Operation Chaos. Skeptics argue that the scale and scope of the surveillance program have been blown out of proportion. Critics also suggest that allegations of widespread domestic spying have been sensationalized to fit a broader narrative of government overreach and paranoia. Some experts have argued that Operation Chaos was, in fact, a relatively limited operation, focused primarily on monitoring foreign agents and their connections within the United States, not on widespread surveillance of ordinary citizens. They maintain that the program's main objective was to track foreign interference and not to quash domestic dissent. Others question the validity and completeness of the information that has been made public about Operation Chaos. They point out that many of the documents related to the operation have been heavily redacted or are still classified. This, they argue, leaves room for speculation and misinterpretation, creating an incomplete and potentially misleading picture of the operation. Furthermore, some critics argue that the narrative surrounding Operation Chaos has been unduly influenced by popular culture. They suggest that the portrayal of the operation in films and books has contributed to a distorted understanding of its true nature and purpose. Moreover, alternate interpretations of Operation Chaos posit that the operation may have been a necessary, if unconventional, response to a complex and rapidly changing security landscape. These analysts argue that, in the context of the Cold War, the CIA was operating in uncharted territory and faced real and pressing threats from foreign agents on American soil. Regardless of the arguments and counter-arguments, the truth about Operation Chaos remains tantalizingly out of reach. The operation is shrouded in secrecy and complexity, with the full extent and impact of its activities still a matter of speculation and conjecture. The debate over Operation Chaos continues to this day, a testament to its enduring mystique and the profound questions it raises about the balance between security and liberty. Examining Operation Chaos in isolation can present a narrow view of its significance. It becomes essential, then, to draw connections between this operation and other similar incidents, secret programs, or recurring themes across different governments and decades. The patterns that emerge can offer a broader perspective on the phenomena of government surveillance and civil liberties. Operation Chaos was not a unique occurrence. It was part of a larger trend of covert domestic surveillance programs implemented by governments worldwide, particularly during the tense climate of the Cold War. Similar operations were conducted by other nations, including the United Kingdom's MI5 and the former East Germany's Stasi. This pattern suggests a global trend of intelligence agencies extending their surveillance to their citizens during periods of heightened political tension. Another pattern that emerges concerns the use of these programs to monitor and suppress political dissent. Operation Chaos, like other surveillance operations of its time, targeted groups and individuals perceived as threats to the established order. This pattern echoes in the FBI's COINTELPRO, a controversial program aimed at infiltrating, discrediting, and disrupting domestic political organizations. The recurring theme of secrecy is also noteworthy. Like Operation Chaos, many of these programs were kept hidden from the public eye for years or even decades. Even when they were eventually exposed, many details remained classified, contributing to an aura of mystery and speculation. This pattern of secrecy suggests that such operations often operate in the shadows, beyond the reach of public scrutiny and accountability. Another connection that can be made is the enduring impact of these surveillance programs. Long after they have been officially disbanded, their legacy continues to shape public discourse and policy. The revelations about Operation Chaos and other similar programs sparked a public outcry and led to the establishment of various legislative and judicial safeguards against unwarranted government surveillance. Yet, the debate over the balance between security and civil liberties continues to this day. Finally, the pattern of technology playing a pivotal role in these operations can be discerned. Operation Chaos and its counterparts leveraged the cutting-edge technology of their time to collect and analyze data. This trend has only amplified in the digital age, with modern surveillance programs harnessing the power of the Internet and big data, raising new questions about privacy and freedom in the digital era. In conclusion, Operation Chaos did not exist in a vacuum. It was part of a larger pattern of covert domestic surveillance programs that spanned across different governments and decades. Recognizing these connections and patterns can help shed light on the broader context and implications of Operation Chaos and similar operations. In recent years, the specter of Operation Chaos has re-emerged, not as a relic of a bygone era, but as a relevant and pressing issue. The declassification of formerly sealed documents has revealed new dimensions to the program, while ongoing investigations into alleged abuses of power and overreach by intelligence agencies have reignited public interest. In 2017, a trove of documents related to Operation Chaos was released to the public. These included internal memos, directives, and reports that provided a more comprehensive picture of the program's scope and methodologies. The newly disclosed information confirmed that Operation Chaos had infiltrated not only political organizations but also academic institutions and news outlets. This infiltration was much more extensive and invasive than previously acknowledged, underscoring the pervasive nature of the program and its disregard for constitutional boundaries. Moreover, the ongoing global tensions and geopolitical shifts have further propelled the case of Operation Chaos into the spotlight. The role of intelligence agencies and their use of surveillance technologies have become central issues in debates about national security, civil liberties, and the nature of democracy itself. In an age where digital technology has dramatically expanded the potential for surveillance, the lessons of Operation Chaos are particularly pertinent. The rise of the Internet and big data has provided intelligence agencies with unprecedented capabilities to monitor and analyze individual behavior. These technologies have also blurred the line between domestic and foreign surveillance, raising complex legal and ethical questions. The specter of Operation Chaos also looms large in contemporary political discourse, where accusations of government spying and surveillance are commonplace. As the boundaries of acceptable surveillance continue to be tested and redefined, the echoes of Operation Chaos serve as a stark reminder of the potential for abuse of power. The continuing mystery surrounding Operation Chaos, fueled by the slow and sporadic release of formerly classified documents, contributes to its enduring relevance. Each new disclosure adds another piece to the puzzle, shedding light on previously unknown aspects of the program and prompting fresh questions. Despite the passage of time, Operation Chaos remains a potent symbol of the tension between national security and individual freedom, a tension that is as present today as it was in the 1960s and 70s. Thus, the significance of Operation Chaos extends far beyond its historical context. It continues to resonate in our contemporary landscape, serving as a touchstone for debates about government surveillance, civil liberties, and the balance of power in a democratic society. As new layers of information continue to be unveiled, the full story of Operation Chaos and its implications for our present and future remain to be fully understood. In the grand scheme of things, Operation Chaos serves as a chilling testament to the intricate dance between power, secrecy, and the human yearning for truth. A dark chapter in the annals of American intelligence history, it stands as a stark reminder that the corridors of power are often shrouded in secrecy, and that the quest for truth can be a painstaking journey, punctuated by elusive answers and obscured realities. The saga of Operation Chaos is a reflection, too, of humanity's enduring struggle against the machinery of power. It symbolizes the courageous attempts of individuals to question authority, to challenge the status quo, and to expose the truth hidden beneath layers of deception and subterfuge. It underscores the timeless battle between those in power who seek to maintain control through secrecy and surveillance, and those who dare to question, to probe, and to reveal. On another level, Operation Chaos is a testament to the cyclical nature of history. It is a story that continues to unfold, decade after decade, with new questions emerging as old ones are answered, and fresh secrets being unearthed as older ones are laid bare. The operation's legacy is not confined to the dusty pages of history books, but is very much alive, echoing in the digital age's discourse on surveillance, privacy, and civil liberties. The tale of Operation Chaos is a poignant reminder of the delicate balance between national security and individual freedom, a balance that continues to be tested with each passing day. It forces us to confront the uncomfortable reality that the mechanisms of power, if left unchecked, can infringe upon the very liberties they purport to protect. In the final analysis, Operation Chaos is a mirror held up to society, a mirror that reflects the uneasy relationship between power and truth, between authority and accountability. It serves as a sobering reminder of the lengths to which those in power might go to maintain their hold, and of the relentless pursuit of truth that inevitably follows. As we continue to grapple with the challenges and complexities of the digital age, the echoes of Operation Chaos reverberate, urging us to remain vigilant, to question, to challenge, and to seek the truth. For in the end, it is through our collective pursuit of truth that we can hope to prevent the recurrence of such operations, and to ensure that the balance between security and freedom is maintained. In the crucible of Operation Chaos, we find a profound insight into the human condition, a testament to our ceaseless quest for truth and justice, and a stark reminder of the eternal vigilance required to guard our cherished liberties. As the story of Operation Chaos continues to unravel, it is up to us to heed its lessons, to question the powers that be, and to strive for a world where power is transparent, accountable, and respectful of individual freedoms. Thanks for listening. This has been the Declassified Files. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you'd like to support the show, subscribe to the Forbidden Knowledge Network on Patreon. Subscribe now.